Corruption is a major issue in many African countries, and there are several nations that have been identified as having particularly high levels of corruption. The most corrupt country in Africa is a subject of debate, as different rankings and measurements may yield different results. However, there are some countries that have consistently ranked as having high levels of corruption. These countries have weak governance, lack of transparency and accountability, and poor rule of law, which contribute to the high level of corruption in these nations. The Corruption Perception Index is a metric used to determine the most corrupt countries in the world. And in this video, we shall be using this exact metric to deduce the top 10 most corrupt countries in Africa 2023. If you are new here, welcome. Be sure to press the like button, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you don't miss out on future educative and informative videos regarding the interesting continent of Africa. With that out of the way, let's begin. 10. Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is the 10th most corrupt country in Africa. According to Transparency International, Zimbabwe loses over $5 million every day because of the high rate of corruption in their public sector. There has also been reports of unaccountability of many public heads for money which were supposed to be for public use. The government of the country has also passed many laws in order to benefit themselves rather than the country at large. For example, the Indigenization and Economic Empowerment Bill. Of course, there are also several government agencies that was put in place to stop corruption, but they all seem not to be working. For example, the Zimbabwean Anti-Corruption Commission actually has little or no power to stop corruption in the country. 9. Chad. In addition to security issues made worse by insurgency, Chad is also pervaded by corruption. Its economy suffers a huge blow as a result, and the rule of law is barely enforceable. Many people act in a corrupt light, in a way that suggests that they are above the law. There is, however, an existence of legislation against corruption, with sanctions harsh enough to deter any person. But this doesn't deter the perpetrators of corrupt acts in the country. They instead target, entrap, and impose these sanctions and punishments on perceived enemies of the government or members of opposition. 8. Burundi. Burundi is the poorest country in Africa and its economy is very weak. It seems to be that only a societal analysis and a review of policies will salvage the state of Burundi. This is because the current policies and agencies put in place to combat the corruption in the country has failed to dent the burden of corruption upon the country. The corruption rate is steadily on the increase and is a deep cause of alarm, so much that it has caused a state of unrest and instability in the country. 7. Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau is an impoverished African nation located in West Africa. Guinea-Bissau was listed 7th on the top 10 most corrupt African nations. Corruption has invaded the system and caused malfunctioning of the otherwise organized government departments. 6. Democratic Republic of the Congo. Congo is a country that seems to thrive on oppression and suppression, especially of those who speak out against the corrupt system or take measures to curtail it. The democratic system is in place to rather frail and doesn't challenge the corrupt whims of politicians in the country. The country's internal security is also in jeopardy, as it is not in control of its own armed forces. There's a constant struggle for control and power tussle between the country's already depleted forces and local militia both within and along its borders. 5. Libya. Ever since the collapse of Gaddafi's government in 2010, Libya has been thrown into a state of absolute turmoil. The economy fell drastically and the public and industry sectors have taken a nosedive into a deep trench of corruption. The once booming oil sector is now plagued by corruption and vandalism. The commercial industry is in a constant tug-of-war with businesses run by the state, as the latter arbitrarily and unlawfully takes over the market and stifles any form of competition from private ventures. 4. Sudan. Sudan is on the list of the most corrupt countries in Africa because of the profound permeation of corruption in nearly all sectors of the country, particularly the economic sector. The corruption in the country also reigns in the political realm where authorities abuse their powers and favoritism is the order of the day. 3. Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea is the third most corrupt country in Africa. Reports have it that the corruption control in Equatorial Guinea is incredibly low. The citizens no longer have faith in the ability and performance of the public officials. This is because these authorities only work for their own public benefits. 2. South Sudan. South Sudan ranks high on this list because it is especially plagued by bribery. It seems like most things, including engaging in commercial activities, will not be successful unless bribes are given. To run one's business without qualms, one has to have some form of government affiliation, or rather, buy it. The judicial system in South Sudan is nothing to write home about either. It is crippled by corruption too and unable to help the issue in the country. Somalia. Somalia tops the list of the most corrupt countries in Africa. The high corruption rate in the country is further facilitated by the unrest, state of anarchy and insecurity in the country. Bribery is also the order of the day, as some government officials allow themselves to be bribed, and therefore, look the other way when illegal and unlawful acts are carried out. Even though Somalia's constitution clearly prohibits many forms of corruption, the process of implementing said laws is not being carried out.